Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So today I wasn't expecting to do this video, but first off I want to say happy Easter. God is good. God is risen. I hope you guys believe that and you're having a great Sunday with your families. I wanted to touch base on this catastrophic Piney Point leak. Now guys, if you're not familiar, we are in South Shore, and South Shore includes, the Ruskin, Apollo Beach, Palmetto, even some of the Bradenton area. I consider that all the South Shore. Now this is some of our pristine fishing areas, some of the best water in all of Tampa Bay. We have some of the prettiest grass. So what's happening right now is down at Piney Point, there's a massive leak at the gypsum stacks, and these are the reservoirs that hold essentially rainwater, nitrogen water. It's for the plant that makes phosphate and fertilizer. And guys, this is a really bad thing. They're going to literally try to let out over 400 million gallons of toxic water, which includes nitrogen water, phosphate, wastewater, radioactive water essentially, and it's going to go into the Tampa Bay and flush in by the millions and millions of gallons. Now why is this a big issue? Well, first off, our waters have been closed for species. We've been dumping in redfish, the redfish and the trout and the snook. They've all been closed for years now. Not only that, there are dozens and dozens upon dozens of people who make their living out of the Tampa Bay. And it even goes way beyond that. You're talking about algae blooms that could devastate the sea life, not just fishing, manatees, dolphins, just the whole ecosystem of wildlife, which is crazy to me that they would not have a plan in action. And that's what infuriates me the most. Let me talk a little bit about it. Almost 20 years ago, the Phosphate owners filed bankruptcy, leaving the toxic, untreated wastewater in ponds. HRK Holdings took responsibility after the bankruptcy occurred in Piney Point. The company attempted to remove the water supposedly, but storms and massive rainfall has detoured their ability to do so. And that's what they claim anyways. I believe this is huge negligence on their behalf, and I believe they should be held accountable at the highest level. And before I get done with this, I'm going to leave some information to where you guys can contact the governor, the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and make your concerns known. And guys, we can't lay down on this. It has to be a collective effort. This is something that's extremely important if you care about the Tampa Bay, the estuaries, and fishing, and just wildlife in general. So in 2001, Tropical Storm Gabrielle hit Florida's west coastline, and it was the start of an overflow of the phosphate ponds as 10 million gallons of contaminated wastewater was filtered or dumped into Bishop Harbor. 2003, okay, EPA permits DEP to dump contaminated wastewater over 100 miles offshore for fear of another storm to overflow the ponds. 140 million was spent for the dumping, so they asked for federal aid because they can no longer fund the removal of possible radioactive water. If you can't afford your operations, you shouldn't be operating, period. And if you can't afford to take care of the environment and the homes and the waters in which we live, then you should not be operating. And shame on you guys, and I hope you get your asses handed to you in the courts. So I really hope that's the case. Now before I get all worked up, let's continue on. 2011, a leak was found from a punctured liner for one of the gypsum stacks, and over 170 million gallons of contaminated wastewater flowed through Bishop Harbor in the lower Tampa Bay waters. This is not something that just happened. This is something that's been happening for almost 2 decades, and they have failed to do what they're supposed to do. Radioactive water, phosphate wastewater, nitrogen, it's going to create an algae bloom to kill fish for thousands of miles. This is proven. Nitrogen in the water, especially this time of year, as water levels, the temperatures rise, it creates algae blooms. And God forbid, amoebas and brain-eating amoebas and flesh-eating bacteria. This is how this shit gets in the waterways. But they won't tell you that. According to the EPA, it's safe. This is just some rainwater collected. This is what they're feeding you on the news. It's not safe, and it's going to ruin our environment if we continue to allow it to happen. So this has been a known issue, and steps to reverse or fix the problem were never completed, which by now has been devastating to the marine life, and it's only going to get worse. This is the most that they've ever allowed to be dumped at one time, and they're talking about 400 million gallons, maybe even 600 million gallons. And will we ever know the truth? God, it may be a lot more than that, because when there's that much money involved in this detrimental of a situation, I don't think they're ever truthful, and I don't trust the news or anybody that has a ton of money as far as I could throw them, okay? And neither should you. So an uncontrolled release of contaminated water has been mismanaged, and it's going to be catastrophic to our environment. We need them to be held accountable and responsible. Guess who's going to pay for this? I mean, Ron DeSantis has come out and said, hey, we're going to fix this no matter the cost. The cost of who? Because as far as I'm concerned, I believe HRK Holdings has already filed bankruptcy again. I haven't confirmed this, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read. So who's going to be responsible? You, me, the taxpayer. That's who's going to be responsible, and it's going to create years and years of damage. And they're just going to go on about their business and do what they do. So 5 years ago, they were supposed to build a well underground to release and to remove the overflow of this water and toxic water, to help so that way it doesn't flow into the estuaries. They never did it. They were supposed to get insurance last year. They never did it. Perhaps it was the cost. Perhaps nobody would insure them. Well, why wouldn't anyone insure them is the question. Well, nobody would insure them because they knew there was imminent failure. Now let's just rewind back a week and a half ago. A week and a half ago, they just needed to release a little bit of water. There wasn't going to be a failure, a catastrophic failure. It was literally the next day. It was imminent failure, and now we're evacuating, shutting down 41, evacuating 300 people from their homes on Easter Sunday because some idiot schmuck didn't do their job and is now going to ruin our beautiful estuaries and the Tampa Bay and the fishing. Guys, contact Officer of Governor Ron DeSantis, State of Florida, the Capitol, 400 South Monroe Street, Tallahassee, Florida 32399. His phone number, 850-717-9337. And I hope any of you businessmen, you fishermen, you guides, anyone who has anything to do with our estuaries, Tampa Bay Watch, I hope people are getting ready for that class action lawsuit, because there needs to be some action done, and these guys need to pay. You can't dump fertilizer, you can't dump nitrogen and harmful bacteria in our waterways and get a slap on the wrist. Now, I know this is a very informal video, but it's important, guys. Comment below, let me know your thoughts. Make sure you take action, email them, call them, do whatever you have to do, because there's a lot of money involved, there's a lot of damage involved, and they're going to try to play it down like this isn't a big and serious situation. Until next time, guys, make sure you have a great Easter, and until next time, I'll see you on the water.